You can hear me?
Yep, you're loud and clear.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Sard. And to your guest in the show. Um, and I'll speak to you next strong. Yeah.
Sure, sure.
Okay. All right. What? Do you have time? You
No, no,
gotta
not
rush
tonight.
out.
But I will. Let me make a commitment for next Tuesday. I will call you definitely next Tuesday. So I wish you a really great show for tonight.
Thank you, Sard. Okay.
Cheers.
All right then.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, y'all. You are tuned in live to Bless Radio One. Cosmic Root Show with your brother Siayome, aka Cosmic Al Mystic, Ab Ram, and you're tuned in to Bless Radio. Know thyself. Ooh, I've got a call coming in here, and I haven't even started. Yo, yo, yo. Yeah, I'm on the show, so gonna have to call back, yo. Um, yes. So tonight's show is going to be about the higher self, okay, and break down what this is and so forth, because terminologies and words and all of that can make things get a little bit you know not very clear, especially with the whole idea of spirituality when it's approached from a religious perspective. Um, this this blocks certain things out um, of further and deeper understanding. There's a reason why uh, when you're dealing with spiritual teachings from even from religious perspective, there's a reason why most of the awakened consciousness, those who came into that state, they spoke in parables. Okay, so there's a deeper meaning within that's the reason why they spoke in parables, because to speak openly certain things, the mindset of people with their conditioning and traditional beliefs and all of that, hearing something contrary to what they've been conditioned to accept and not question, um, yeah, they'd get very reactionary if you was to just say certain things direct, straight up. So you have to speak in parables, not so those who could pick it up, and those who couldn't. So it shows that there's a deeper meaning in when we talk about the spiritual teachings or spiritual meanings within um, what has become religious, based on the scriptures and or spiritual teachings coded down in books. I mean, scripts, paper, papyrus. This is where you get the word paper from, and scripts is what you use for movies up to this day. Scripts. And we carry scripts within ourselves. I've said this many times before. And these are the things, this script, we're playing out a role according to the script. So, you know, the and then the nature of the creator, or what is called God, or people have different Allah, Yahweh, Jehovah. From a religious perspective, this becomes a concept rather than a direct experiential knowing, which leads people to be defending all mannerisms of mental concepts which is void of spiritual understanding, or the understanding of the spiritual meaning or the spiritual teachings within the parables. Just like you'd have stories written in mythological format, which is psychological dramas, where there's a moral to the story, huh? And if you don't get the moral to the story, folks will say that you're just holding on to the outer framework of the story, if you don't get the inner meaning of what that outer framework was storing for you, to be able to receive, if you could decode the meaning. So there was a need at a time for various information that would be called esoteric, and then or inner knowledge. You had the mystery systems. Those mystery systems now would, back in ancient times, were a way to um, you say disperse or assimilate the higher teachings of one's true self, opposed to the exterior um, things you're being taught from the outside, um, about reality and the true nature of yourself, and you know, uh, the source of existence and all of this and that, the truth of life and of being. So these things become the external indoctrination that people then take on information without any direct experience to validate for themselves the truth from within, to discern whether what they've been told and heard and be brought up to and conditioned to conform to, whether that is correct or not for them to live by, because your beliefs are shaping and manifesting your personal reality on this plane, because there are these spiritual laws of existence which govern through the whole of the entire of creation. And just like in understanding the instructions of something, okay, that you're going to use as an appliance so you can operate it efficiently, okay, for you to know how to use it because you know how to operate it. So you don't even need the instruction manual anymore because you have knowledge of the thing that you're using so you can correctly operate it without seeking outside help, um, based upon your lack of comprehension. So the same thing is about ourselves, knowledge of ourselves. So we look within for our answers and truth, and know and have knowledge that we have a direct connection to the source of all that is, which is being called God. But from religious perspectives, this is an entity or even a personality that is considered as separate and apart from you, and you're apart from it. And it's this kind of duality of, like, there's the creator. The creator created everything. You're a creation. Therefore, the creator is greater than you. You're not a part of you're not part of creator because you're a creation. And it's like, this is all egoic separation and misidentification and misunderstanding, or missing the mark. These terms, missing the mark, is really where the word sin comes from. To be impeccable means to not miss the mark. And it was an old archer's term in England, um, back in, I don't know, I think 13th century, 18, kind of way back. But anyway, it was an archer's term that, if they missed the bullseye, the archer missed the bullseye, he missed the mark. So he'd be then they would say, "Oh, you committed a sin." You know, so sin means missing the mark. Okay, so there's a lot of that going on when you're dealing with a misunderstanding. There's a saying in the scriptures: "Only a fool leans upon their misunderstanding." You see what I mean? And inside the scripture, there's esoterical truth, the inner truth, which is the spiritual teachings and wisdom that become unveiled or emerge or revealed to you if you have that right understanding. You know what I mean? The right attitude, right approach, and sincerity to be able to receive that spiritual understanding. Because as long as we carry the conditioned mentality with all of the preconceived prejudice and judgment and um, erroneous beliefs or limiting beliefs and resentment and worldly ambition. These things you're being conditioned and taught from the outside from when you're growing up, from gestation to now. As long as you're caught in that, it'd be difficult to be able to. You won't be your mind won't be receptive to be able to receive the spiritual understanding or understanding. You see, this is the reason why, there's a saying that you can't pour new wine into old, into old bottles, okay, or old sheepskins. So you can't contaminate the spiritual truth with earthly misconceptions and opinions, okay. So there's a need to recondition or rid oneself of one's own mental conditioning. Another way of saying this, because all of this is in for example, another parable. Um, One has to become like a child again in order to enter into the kingdom of heaven. So, yeah, and that doesn't literally mean that one has to find a way to crawl it back up in the womb. You know what I'm saying? To come back out again. I mean, that defies the laws of physics and the laws of actual nature. That's be regression. You see what I'm saying? And you'll be entropying yourself. That is not what it means literally. What it means is that to become like a child again in order to enter the kingdom of heaven, it means one would have to rid themselves of their personal mental conditioning. Okay? in order to return back to that mind that you had before you were conditioned. Okay, and so your mind now is open, full of wonder. You don't have the prejudices, the resentment, the preconceived ideas and beliefs about things to then be blocking out the spiritual inspiration that can flow through you. Like children are very, when you're younger, you don't have this idea as a child that you can't think this or can't think that. This is the stuff that you're now told by those outside of you. You know what I mean? Egos projecting their misunderstanding of something and or their limitations or their fears. You see what I mean? This starts getting projected onto a child um, through 0 to 7. You know, and that's impacting the child's perception of themselves. And this is where the ego personality is formulated from 0 to 7, which now becomes the reactionary body, the egoic construct that now is being built upon to the next 7 years, 14 and 21 and 28, when an individual now reaches a Saturn return, where they have to re-examine now all their ideas that they had held on to about life because they're seeing that, hang on a minute, the way they thought life would be for them at 28, Saturn return, usually that's one of those experiences in life. Yeah, we all go through those stages where, you know, basically the structure of your life, what you're being built upon, starts getting tested, examined, and what has no integrity will fall away, crumble, and leave you. And at this period of time, you don't know what's going on. Your life is just changing. What you thought you wanted or what you thought was, stable and secure turns out not to be. And these are periods of experiences that are activated through what is known as the disc of life, the zodiacus. Because within nature, when you're dealing with nature, you have a divine timing. Yeah, everything has its own time to grow. All right, every seed that is planted in nature, and also seed planted within a female's womb from the male seed, has um, a different duration or a different time that it will, the child will be, of birth, based on different times of conception. But you have like 9 months for mammals or human beings. You got a 12 months for a horse. You know what I'm saying? A year and something for an elephant. You got 21 days for chickens. 24 hours for fruit flies. Every seed has its own timing of inner timing of the the process of unfoldment that seed is to manifest into its fullness. There is allocated time, natural time, for everything to blossom, to blossom and bloom. Okay, so with this time, you're dealing with a clock, but you're not dealing with a man-made kind of clock. You're not dealing with the man-made idea of the 24 hours or 12 hours of the day and all of this. You're dealing with natural time, which the zodiac actually represents this cosmic clock. And so this cosmic clock is ticking in a sense, metaphorically, where the planets, the transits, they're like, the hands on the clock, the hour hand, the minute hand, the second hand, And when these transits, meaning the movement of particular celestial bodies, reach certain aspects or in relation to other planets and in signs and houses, then it's an activation of an energy as a time for this to move forward, a time for energetic transformations, shifts, in order to make the changes that need to be taken place, being directed through divine intelligence. Okay, because we do exist in time and space, while at the same time our essence is timeless and resides in a timeless dimension. Okay, so a lot of things are interconnected. A lot of things is interconnected, and a lot of things is interconnected, and Sometimes you think that it's separate, um, and this is where we end up just looking at fragmented details and not looking at the holistic context or the holistic content of or the context in how we are to understand ourselves. Okay, so okay, I'll just hit the ground running and just got some messages. Yes, yeah, I can hear you. All right, I'm gonna go to play something and just gonna check to see if this can be heard. Yow, um, now too. Um, so so just typing up something here on the computer. Um, huh. So, uh, yes, if you can hear this, y'all, if you're tuning in, you know. So actually, I shouldn't be even typing because you can hear me on the you can hear me already. So I'm going to uh play something, y'all, and be back after this, y'all. Okay, let me know if it's playing. Yeah. So if you can hear my voice, you should be able to hearing it over the music. Um, if so, let me know. You know, if y'all can hear me, y'all. So let me know if y'all hearing the tune. If not, then I will just go straight into what I'm gonna be discussing this evening. Because these energies, y'all, oh yeah, a lot of transformative, transmutive energies, cosmic energies, new energies coming in here. And I'm going to go and talk about the galactic. Like today, now we got Jupiter that's reached the galactic center. And in it being in the galactic center, yo, yeah, this is activation of some real profound changes that has been going on for 13 years. So, you know, yeah, you guys are going to have to take yourself back to around 13 years, 2006. What major changes took place there, which initiated this, a whole heap of what you call um, whole heap of transformation, of your belief systems. So we've got Jupiter reached the galactic center now, 27 degrees Sagittarius, and I'm gonna read and I'm gonna break down and gonna speak for myself with the knowledge of these planet celestial bodies to kind of put certain things into context to why I'm talking about this evening. So yo, I'm playing something here. I don't know. No one's telling me if they can hear that tune I'm playing. So yo, can you all, you know, can you say something, yo? You guys are taking too long to respond. Yo, folks, you know, it's taking too ass long, you know. So yeah. So so gee, just quickly so I can then move on. And I need to know. All right. So I've just been showing I ain't hearing no music. So I'm gonna stop that because it looks like music's gonna be my voice. Okay. So um with that being said, um right. Okay. So the music's gonna be my melodic voice, y'all. So I'm just gonna go into the deeper explanation and these energies being experienced. And I'm telling you, you've been experiencing them, but sometimes we don't understand a greater context in order to put our experience in. So we're not realizing what's really happening, what's really taking place, the why behind it. Because when you're dealing with energetic transformation, you're dealing with non-physical interaction and interface with your physical vehicle. Okay, interacting with the mental forms and the energy forms, your emotional body, energy and motion, and your physical form. Now, mm, where I will, where I will, yeah. So where I will pick up from here now is, because there's a expansion in the spiritual awareness of ourselves. In this day and time, the word spiritual is even coined as, many people have their very, um, uh, yeah, many different meanings they have of what spiritual is. Um, the other day, I had someone who was talked to. Well, basically, I don't like to kind of give no names and what's not because you have conversations with many different type of people, and the people you meet, you're meeting them for a reason, and they could be talking about something that I already said on the show the other the other Tuesday and so forth, the other strong, and these confirms itself because see, truth comes first, and then confirmation comes after. Truth proves itself. You see what I mean? You don't have to be standing up there trying to slingshot stuff. But if aligning with the truth of your being, in alignment with the truth of the laws of existence, because there is divine principles governing everything. Okay, there's a divine intelligence that is governing. When we're talking about the divine or the all originating creative power of life, okay, is governing everything. And this is really the higher power that within ourselves we are to surrender to. Okay, this is what it means, to trust in God is to trust in the all originating creative power of life. Yeah, that is residing within you, as you, and moving through you and all around you. Okay, and this is really about tapping into the non-physical reality of yourself rather than just identifying with the material side, visible side of yourself. And it's not about dealing with spirituality and denying the physicality. What it is coming to realize yourself in a wholeness or a holistic way. So you come to realize the wholeness of spirit and matter. Okay, you have light and you have what they would say light and love. Well, you're dealing with awareness, which is the light of consciousness, and love, which is the energy. Okay, you have the form and the formless interacting through the form. Okay, so you don't have a separation between the form and the formless, but you do have a source or a cause and an effect. Okay, so the non-physical, when we're talking spiritual, this is what one means, and you're dealing with this non-physical reality of yourself, which is the light of pure awareness that is operating and directing through the creative tools known as your mind and your emotional body or energy body and your physical vehicle. You see what I'm saying? Your physical vehicle. And the true you is the light of awareness, the light of consciousness, and the personality construct is what is within the realms of the mental, emotional, and physical, which are actually, as I said, creative tools, and the physical vehicle is your creative vehicle of expression of the light of consciousness. You see, you've been given life. We've been given life, okay, to be the expression, to be the channel to express universal intelligence. When you have in the scriptures the terminology, um, our Father in heaven, all right, and you have another aspect of that saying of heaven, the kingdom of heaven within you. Well, there's a difference here. When you talk about the Father in heaven, Remember, the Father is not literal. Okay, people get caught up on literal terminologies and don't understand how stories, how messages are written in like a psychological drama. Okay, symbolic of the story of the soul, and that characters and actors within these stories are also representing qualities and attributes of your own consciousness. But when you don't have something taught you in this way, you're thinking that this story is about not about you, it's something separate in these other personalities, and it keeps you focusing outside of yourself to to um to yeah to buying into limited belief systems from the outside, telling you about yourself, yeah, where it's not the truth because you're not getting the correct meaning within these scriptures and within these, story formats. You know what I mean? That exist today, and many have been, taken out of circulation because the information within it would be too blatant, in a sense where people would realize, oh, hang on a minute, you know, they'd realize how the system is systematically. You got a systemic uh, manipulation of consciousness on this planet. So there's certain information that is taken out of circulation because it would wake folk up when they read it, and it's all being snipped up and put in different places, putting a little bit, putting this book, a little bit putting over here, a little bit put over there, and it's kind of written in a way where you can't really get the real meaning out of it. You're taking the literal meaning. So a lot of this stuff, a lot of the information that is already present, because you're gonna have those who wrote these things down. Their experience. You have those who've experienced things before you. It's like a way shower. If you've been to York or you've been to Brixton, you'll be able to be a way shower. Yeah, meaning show someone the way, how to get to York or how to get to Brixton. Okay, but if you've never been to York or Brixton, you cannot be a way shower to somebody. All right, because you haven't been to the very place that this individual now wants to go to. All right, so you'll be given the misdirections if you're not honest to just say, look, man, I've never been there, I don't know. You see? So it's that example I'm giving is the example to say, look, there are those who have had the experience way before, and reached to certain degrees within their consciousness to know, and they wrote their experience down to be a way shower for those who would be coming forth, moving on the same path. You see what I mean? And to also go beyond them. Hence, why you got also in these meanings in these scriptures, the meaning behind when the Christ message, or which represents the awakened consciousness of an individual, said that he who comes after me shall do greater works than I have done. All right. So it shows to give the indication that this awareness, when awakened up within yourself, to realize, yourself, remembering self, is 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 what can be attained, okay, within other individuals, not just the one individual or personage that becomes now this focal of worship, where people then now, you know, again, this individual is the only one who is able to do such and such, and now we all have to worship this individual in order to get any closer to be able to do what they can do. When that's not what was being meant, and or conveyed and presented, okay, in these teachings, or in these scriptures, or in these instructions that were left behind for your inner guidance, okay. But when you're dealing with the Father in heaven, you're dealing with the universal source of being. Your Father in heaven is universal consciousness. It's not a personality. It's not male gender. In case any feminists is there, kind of say, well, why is God a he? He should be a she now. So now you got the she, and you don't have no he anywhere there. When he, in the word, also exists in she. So in a way, that's showing you the inseparableness of the twin force, the masculine and feminine, which makes up the divine principle, which is not a separative um, energy in itself. This is what the humans, the lower aspect of consciousness, do, because they don't see the wholeness. They're coming from a perspective or perception, narrow perception of separation. So when you're saying the Father in heaven, you're dealing with universal consciousness. When we're talking about the kingdom of heaven within you, you're dealing with your soul. You're dealing with the higher self. Okay, the divine consciousness, the divine life consciousness of your soul, which is you, which is source within you, as you, because you're an individualized expression of the all originating creative power of life. Okay, so you know what I mean. If things were being explained in this way, you know, um, ones would have a more of a clear understanding of themselves, the nature of the creative, the originating creative power, and their relationship to the creative, all originating creative power. Okay, the universal source of all that is. You know your relationship to it. You know your nature. You understand then the thoughts. Okay, the beliefs you're going to be using to govern yourself down here would be more in alignment with the divine truth of your being, rather than man-made, manufactured concepts, ideologies, psychologies, um, that is used to define you and control your behavior, and to keep you from waking up to realize who you truly are. And you'd realize you'd have to look inward for this, where consciousness now goes back into consciousness. Okay, your inner consciousness, in order to discover its source. But you're living in a society that's dealing with the superficial surface of things and keep you focused on the exterior. And when you don't understand the science of your being, you got people who are saying, "Oh, I'm into science. Unless it's scientific, I ain't gonna take because this, I'm gonna take that because it's proven." You know, something that scientific can be repeated over and over again because it's science. Okay, and I get that. At the same time, there's a science to your own being that transcends um, modern day science, and it transcends man-made approaches um, to discover the mysteries of life. Okay, the mysteries of existence. The man-made approach, or the human intellect and personality construct and conditioning, is very biased and limited in its perception. For example, many people believe that what constitutes the entirety of what they take up or take on to define themselves, to say this is their identity, is from gestation to their present, to their present state now, and their experiences they've had in life, the memories they've had in this life, the experiences they've had in this life, the information that they have been exposed to in this life, the idea of themselves as just this mind and emotions and body, and the memories of the past of this life alone is what a lot of people are using to define themselves within. Now, as the soul, you've lived trillions of life throughout trillions of lifetimes. Yeah, you've lived throughout, you know, you wow, numerous across, your soul has journeyed across all lifetimes, all dimensions, all right, of time, and all timelines. So therefore you have some really profound wisdom within you as your soul, which is also your higher self. And I'll explain all of this in a minute. That you can draw upon, you see. I mean, if you knew this consciously, you you would realize you wouldn't be so caught up on this limited perception, of this incarnation alone that you're using to define yourself, and think you can find all the answers to your problems through this limited, very narrow perception or perspective. Excuse me, just clearing my throat. So there is more to oneself, and until the awareness is expanded to encompass this broader awareness, one will be only living within a limited parameter, a limited scope, you know, of awareness. Okay, which then now becomes very constructed, and limiting to what those limited beliefs will dictate what you can or cannot do. Those beliefs, when you energize them, they generate emotions, and then those emotions go into creating the outpicturing of your beliefs. Yes, so there's a lot to get through this evening, and yeah, in order for me to put everything in context. So so connecting these dots that I've just jumped around. Excuse me, I need to drink some. 1 second, y'all. I am back. So what I'm saying here, wow, because there's so much streaming through me right now that yeah, the thoughts gotta slow down a bit. So 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 what I'm saying here is that with all of what I've just said there just now, it's laying a foundation, or laying up where I'm going to bring all of this, together. All right, because it is related to the Jupiter um, aligning with the galactic center today. It's going to be relating Venus, that's going to be conjuncting Jupiter at the galactic center, which is 27 degrees Sagittarius. It moves between 25 and 27 degrees, okay? Because some folk, you would know it as 26 degrees, but between 25 and 27, the galactic center, it moves, it swivels, okay? Now, the galactic center is a metaphor um, for the galactic center of you, because you're a galactic being, okay? You're a cosmic being, you're a galactic being, you're a universal being, okay? So everything that is existing within the mirror of the universe is all existing within you. But you got to understand the difference between your essential self and the forms that exist within time and space, okay? I'll clarify myself as I move on. But we've been going through a lot of intense, as I said, you got a cosmic clock that activates in cosmic timing, okay? Um, various things to become activated, various things to happen in particular, sets waves of energy in motion, okay? Which is all being directed by divine consciousness intelligence for the further growth and expansion and the forward moving and progression of the soul. Okay, the universal intelligence supports the soul's purpose, each one's soul purpose here. Okay, so therefore, when we get stuck in certain repetitive cycles, which then become karmic loops, you then end up becoming like the soul begins to experience repetitive cycles and experiences through incarnations, which now become like a wheel that's spinning, but because it has no traction, it's just spinning and creating more of a hole, more of a ditch, from where it's on, and it's just creating more of a ditch and getting stuck. Okay? Because there's no traction. 1 second, y'all. Yep, I'm back here. So, yeah, I'm clearing some things out of my system, and this is how your body with the divine intelligence, as the divine operator. You see your body with the divine intelligence as the divine operator of it. Um, the intelligence, the body knows what to get rid of. So sometimes you could be coughing and sneezing and all that stuff, and people quickly, based upon society, tell you, "Oh, you've got a cold." You know, people want to tell you what's going on with you. And the thing is that ain't the case. That ain't the case. You see, your body knows how to get rid of things it that either is messing with the integrity of it. I mean, you got a built-in immune system, okay? So your immune system gets stronger. Your immune system is there to maintain the integrity and the health of your body. So there are certain things that may be, because we interact with energy, okay? And we're absorbing energies as we're transmitting energies. There's always an exchange of energies with any interaction, okay? So your body has its intelligence, okay, which knows what to do. It knows how to get rid of that which doesn't belong within you, that doesn't resonate with your frequency. So, when you're coughing and sneezing, this is the way that your body is getting rid of certain things. So don't let people tell you, "Oh, you got a cold and what's not." Understand that you're clearing, and a lot of clearing is going on. Serious. And how this clearing is going to manifest itself is going to be in all different kind of ways. You see what I mean? So, yeah, and this is very linked to why it's so important to understand your beliefs and what you believe about yourself, and how you can either keep yourself in a prison or you can liberate yourself from it, and to come out of these repetitive cycles, which become karmic loops, where the soul now, when anything when anything is put across the soul's path as an obstruction, that obstruction cannot remain indefinitely. All right. So when something becomes so repetitive that it's really now weighing down the soul, because the soul's nature is to move forward, okay? Always to grow, expand, and to express itself more fully. That's the nature of life, okay? And always to produce something that goes beyond what is being produced before, So everything is always fresh, you see. Life, that's the nature of life. Life is growth, So life is health. Life is nutrition and nourishment. Life is regeneration. Life is healing, Life is the perfect fulfillment of every need. You see what I mean? Life is power. Life is regeneration. You see what I'm saying? Life, all of this working in harmony, in perfect harmony within a unified system of divine law and order. So life has its purpose and its nature. So anything that is not growing is dead. Okay? So life, anything that's getting in the way of the process of life and how life itself operates and moves will have to be removed. So what happens is that when we get so identified with the ego constructs and scripts and stories that we keep playing out through carnation and incarnation, making the same decisions and having the same beliefs, and therefore not being conscious of us creating this loop, because we're making the same decisions. We're playing the same mixtape, okay, over and over and over and over, and expect to hear a different song. And that's what it's like when you're caught in a limited belief that for some reason you can't let go. All right. Well, when I say some reason, because of forced identification, then this now becomes very burdening on the soul. The soul's like, "Look, man, I've had enough of this," So this is where we have backup, the universe. Okay. Universal intelligence. Now, this is what I'm saying with astrology, zodiacus, the disc of life. This is like the greater, grander cosmic clock, where cycles are running within cycles, and activating various things that must take place at the time it takes place in time and space. So we have these activations known as transits, which are bringing these activations within consciousness to move the soul forward. Now, the way we're living in a system that is set up as anti-life. It's a manipulation of your consciousness to program you with thoughts and feelings and ideas and beliefs from the outside, okay, for you to internalize and then give power to. So then now you're giving power to somebody else's ideas, you're manifesting somebody else's um, realities. You see what I mean? It's just like, somebody could be telling you a lot of things, critical things from a child, and you've been hearing certain things for so long, you start believing it. And now you take those thoughts that didn't originate from you, you've absorbed them, they now become a part of your thinking, part of your belief structure. And because you still you hold that in, you're churning that around, with inside of you, then this is how we end up creating and manifesting, you see, those conditions in ourselves based upon the erroneous beliefs, limited beliefs, critical beliefs, judgmental beliefs we've received from others who are projecting their own egoic personality complexes onto you. And then you start manifesting what somebody else believes about, you take it on thinking this must be true, and then you manifest that. That becomes your reality. You see what I mean? But it's not the reality of whom and what you truly is, who you are, okay? So this is the thing where it's about, are you the master of your own mind? Or are you the master of your own mind? Are you directing your thoughts, your mind, what to think? Are you directing your energy body, your emotional body to what to feel? You see? Or is that all being played out for you from the external? You see? And this is what's going on for the majority of people if they are not taking that journey within themselves. So with this galactic center, Jupiter in the galactic center, y'all, we got it conjunct in the galactic center today, 19th of November. And we got Venus going to be conjuncting that galactic center, conjuncting Jupiter in the galactic center on the 23rd. That's going to be Saturday, okay? And then after that, I think we got Mercury going to be conjuncting it, you know what I mean? Because we've just coming out, well, we've had the Mercury retrograde, and the Mercury's retrograded back to 11 degrees in Scorpio, but then now it's going to go direct over the shadow that is just, gone backwards over. So now it's going to go direct. It's going to be going over the shadow of what is called the Mercury retrograde. And therefore, it's when it reaches to the point where that retrograde started, which was at 27 degrees Scorpio, is when the Mercury moves past 27 degrees, 28 degrees now to the late degrees of Scorpio to move out. That's when we have entered out of, we've exited the Mercury retrograde energy. Okay, so, but what I'm saying is that we're having Mercury after Venus. We're going to have Mercury going over the galactic center, conjuncting Jupiter. We're going to have the Sun. We're going to have Mars, because Mars is now entered into Scorpio. We have the Sun at late degrees of Scorpio, moving into Sagittarius. Yo, all you Sagittarians, you know what I mean? Your solar return, you know what I mean, right now? How you doing? So what I'm saying is there's a lot of this, boy, you know what I mean? A lot of this thing, but you'll understand what I mean when I drop it into context. So for anybody what I'm about to say, you can take this little bit of information and gain a lot about yourself through it, because these planets and these celestial signs, these are aspects and faculties or aspects of your own consciousness, And I'm going to explain furthermore, as I go in. I got a good hour and a little left to go. So this show is about the higher self. But the way I'm going to go in about the higher self, I'm going to deal with the planetary transit that we're dealing with it right now. Okay? And then we're going to have a full moon. A new moon in Sagittarius. Okay? In a strong's time. Now, but rather than put all these things, I'm just going to keep it focused on a certain point here, why I'm talking about the galactic center and Jupiter and Venus. Okay? So firstly, wherever you got Venus in your chart, got to understand what Venus symbolizes and represents. Okay? What it represents. Just like you have an organ in your body and what it represents, okay, what it also symbolizes, okay. and how the organ in your body is conscious, okay, and has its own vibrational frequency, yeah, different to the other organs in your body. And when they're all vibrating in their own integral frequency, the way they should be, then you got this harmonic orchestra going on in your organs. Hence why your organs are called organs, okay? And an organ is a wind instrument, keyboard wind instrument that is played, okay, as a musical instrument. And where is it usually played? It's played in those churches. So organ has something to do with celestial energy, okay? All right, the sound, the feel, the vibration of the organ and what it vibrates and activates within your organs. You know, understand the correlation between words that seem to be non-associated when they are. Yeah, because true knowledge, the only true knowledge is the knowledge that brings you back to knowing the nature of your soul, the truth of yourself. Anything else that's not any knowledge that's not doing that is just programming you and conditioning you. Okay, that's what it is. Because knowledge is to know, to know thyself. So okay, I'm gonna talk about what Venus and Jupiter mean in your chart, and as cosmic forces you can draw upon. Okay, because I know people got this different idea about astrology and all of this and that, and you know, you got to understand yourself from a metaphysical, philosophical, cosmological point of view. And when you're dealing with planets as astronomy and say that it has no relationship with astrology, all you're dealing with there is again the separatism. You see, like separating spirit from matter, you know, separating church from state, separation, you know, light from dark, you know. So that's what you're dealing with. But you're dealing with really, in reality, a unified wholeness. Okay. So everything is correlating to who you are when we're dealing with the soul's journey. So this this so what's going what I'm let me just refresh something. A lot of what you've been going through for the last 13 years. A lot of what has been taken place 2 years ago, 2017, and what has been taking place since July. A lot of intense stuff has happened since July to now. A lot of people experience big changes, shifts, like unexpected. It's like, you see, what's happening now, it's not something that the ego can control or the egoic personality, just for you to understand what I mean. This is your soul running the show here. This is cosmic forces, energies coming in, cosmic new energies coming in, cosmic energies, light codes, new energies, light codes coming from the sun, cosmic energies coming from um, various celestial centers, galactic centers, and points in space, So these are new energies, and we are energy beings. We have an energetic system, and this energy moves into us like you can say like flowing energetic water. All right, and these energies are making changes. Okay, on a subatomic, cellular, subatomic level within our consciousness, in order to enable the soul to progress beyond this egoic manipulation, the ego wanting to control shit, But this energy, the ego can't control. So this is why a lot of people are feeling anxiety and feeling like, oh my gosh, they don't know whether they're coming and going, because the personality, the personality construct, this idea of who you believe yourself to be, all of that is kind of it's all crumbling. It's dissolving, because you're not supposed to be holding on to this old sense of self, this old way of relating to yourself based upon all this centuries of conditioning and programming and past life karmic loops. You see, one is caught up in. See, what you're dealing with here is liberation, and we're dealing with a different day and time. Okay, so so let me get into what Venus actually means or represents as an aspect of yourself, and what I'm saying. I'm just going to give you the inner details of what this energy is, okay? Rather than just Venus, it's the planet of love and beauty, uh, and relationships. Now, it does have stuff to do with those terminologies, but it's more than that. And I'm going to give you the context because Venus correlates with our inner relationship with ourselves and the external relationships we form with other people. Okay. Our external relationships are a reflection of our inner relationship. Okay. So in other words, right, Venus is has an inner nature reflected in our inner relationship, and it has an outer nature reflected in our external relationships. Venus has a Venus is a co-ruler or has co-rulership with Libra and Taurus. Okay, so Venus therefore has two sides to its energy. Venus being a feminine sign because it's yin. It's how we receive. But anyway, um, it's our way of how we receive, okay? What we draw to ourselves. But it so to become more clear, as I said, Venus therefore correlates to the inner relationship we have with ourselves and the external relationship we have with others. Okay. So wherever Venus is in your chart, this is what it's meaning. And I'll go deeper with it. So so with it being a co-ruler, Venus having co-rulership with Libra and Taurus, Venus has two sides that are reflected in this archetype. Now, an archetype is a ruling type. It's the ruling type that other types are built from. You get what I mean? Some folk will, you get the word prototype. Yeah, pro meaning before, and the prototype means the type that was developed before the the actual the actual type, the actual making of something that has used the prototype as its foundation. Okay, it's the type that came before the type that you now have. So you're dealing with archetypes, which are ruling types or ruling aspects or aspects within your consciousness. Okay, gotta understand your consciousness contains all. All right, and I want to expound and expand on this real deal about the consciousness because it's more than just being aware, you know, of your toenail. You know what I'm saying? So it is about awareness, but it's not just so flaky like that. Oh, consciousness is just simply awareness. You know? Yeah. Okay. So so that's like saying, oh, oxygen is, oh, the air is just, oxygen and nitrogen and these different various materials. That's all it is. That's all it is. But without it, your physical form cannot, yeah, function correct. You see what I mean? So it's more than just is awareness or your brother's the breath is only oxygen. It's more than that. It's more vital than that, and it deserves deeper respect or evaluation in order to understand yourself and break free from this illusion to wake up to the reality of your being. So back to the thing. So I'm saying to you that Venus is a co-rulership of Libra and Taurus. So it has two sides to it. Okay. So one side is our inner relationship. Okay. So our inner relationship correlates when Venus is in Taurus. Okay. So when Venus is in Taurus, Venus is correlating with the inner side of Venus. Okay. So our inner relationship creates now. This is why I'm trying to tell you. So the inner, all right, side of Venus impacts you in this way. Our inner relationship creates our inner vibration, our inner magnetism. All right. So you can say your vibration is also your inner magnetism. And you hear this term being used, people being magnetic, got a magnetic personality, usually it's the personality we always talk about. Or this is just, being a magnet to things. Yeah. Well, when you're dealing with the yin, the feminine energy, it is magnetic. It's the feeling. Okay. It's the feeling aspect. It's the feeling nature. But we're talking now, when we chat about Venus, we're talking about the inner feeling nature. Okay? The inner feeling nature. So Venus is the inner feeling nature, which sets up or creates our inner vibration, and or our what you call our inner magnetism, which then becomes the causative factor, which attracts to others. Okay? It becomes a causative factor of what we attract. Okay? The others we draw into our life. Our external relationships now correlate with Libra when Venus is in Libra. So that so Venus now is dealing with the outer side when you're dealing with Libra, the outer side of Venus. So our values resulting so our values of ourself, okay, come from our value or our relationship with ourselves sets up an inner vibration, which is a magnetic field that draws to us the reflection, all right, of in others of the way we're relating to ourselves. Okay? So Libra is the outer functioning of Venus. So now when it comes to our values, which is the inner working, Venus in Taurus, and the resulting meaning that we give to our life, yeah, is symbolized in the planet or the archetype of the sign Taurus, which Venus rules, co-rules. Now, Taurus is about your self-worth and value, okay? And Taurus is a feminine sign. It's an earth sign. It's inward. It's a yin, okay? So what happens is that with Venus can, it correlates with comparison, okay? Where you're comparing yourself to this or that, you know, to evaluate yourself through this dynamic of comparison, okay, which is symbolized by Venus. So the dynamics of Venus can operate in extremities, and which is therefore now, this is where Venus, there's a great need, yeah, there's a great need for these extremities to be brought into balance. So this is symbolized by Venus, okay? So as I said before, Venus correlates with Libra as well as Taurus. So Libra now is when you're dealing with external relationships and the balance. Yeah, Libra is about balance. Yeah, Libra. Yeah, Libra. It's about finding the balance within yourself through experiencing off balance. All right, you know what I mean? Being out of balance. So Venus, just bring it down. Venus correlates to your inner relationship with yourself when it's in the sign of and it rules Taurus, which is your self-worth and value. Okay? And when it's in Libra, this is about how your exterior relationship with others are reflecting back to you like an energetic mirror, the Venus, yeah, representing your own inner sense of self-worth and value. Okay? So this is what sets up our inner vibrations. So people may turn around and think that their inner vibrations don't mean nothing. Okay? When it fully does. The relationship you have with yourself. Oh, it means something, all right. You see what I mean? Because that's what sets up your magnetism to draw to you an energetic mirror reflection of you. So based on and determining on the way what your beliefs you hold, okay, the beliefs you hold about yourself sets up the inner vibration within you, okay. So now that's Venus. Now Jupiter, okay. Jupiter Jupiter takes 12 years to go round the whole disk of life to return back to its home sign, which is Sagittarius. It also co-rules Pisces. But but it takes 12 years for Jupiter to do its circuit, its revolution from from Sagittarius throughout all the other signs to return back to Sagittarius. It takes 12 years. Now, Jupiter correlates to your belief systems. Mm. Yeah, Jupiter correlates to your belief systems because Sagittarius is about seeking the truth, right? Sagittarius represents your belief systems. Now, let me get into this. So Jupiter correlates with your belief systems or the structure of your soul. Yes, your soul has a psychological structure to itself, but not in the way that you physically want to kind of, maybe try to envision it. Yeah. We're talking about now the psychological structure of your soul because your soul is the immutable part of you, the indestructible part of you. The soul's consciousness always stays intact throughout all the lifetimes of the soul's journey, throughout all the different personality garments that, we don, that we play out this role based upon, the mind, body, emotional, creative tools, all right, and creative vehicle that we're operating through. But you can have yourself getting so identified with the role you're playing that you forget who you is, and then you get stuck in a certain role. And that role, when you get actors who get stuck, what they call it typecasted, they're always playing the same kind of role in different movies. So the scene is the same, the the people they're interacting is different, but their role they're playing is always the same. If it was a thief, then they're always playing a thief in a different movie. Different movie, but they're always playing the same thing, the same role. If if they were, you know, a bad dude or something, a bad character, they're always playing some criminal or some dude you can't trust. Even though the movie's different scene, theme, but they're playing the same role. Yeah, that's typecasting. So it's like Groundhog Day. You know what I mean? Just a repetition of a role you're playing and you want to get out of it, but you don't understand how the heck you're creating it in the first place. Yeah. So you get stuck in a role. Now, I said Jupiter correlates with our belief system. Or you can say, you don't like belief, the structure of the soul. So the psychological structure of the soul, the beliefs. Now, our beliefs determine how we interpret life itself. Okay. So Jupiter symbolizes our philosophical. Everybody's got some kind of philosophy. So it's different to where you're just thinking about your opinion from some factual, educational stuff, so-called academic stuff. I'm talking about what your soul, you see, your soul. Jupiter symbolizes the philosophical or the metaphysical or cosmological or all three. It represents that kind of context in how the soul interprets life. All right. So this is this is what gives the soul the ability to make sense of the life it's experiencing, okay, at a deeper level. So the planetary ruler, which is Sagittarius of Jupiter, right, correlates with the issues of truth. Honesty is the same as truth. So you're dealing with where we got to be. We're seeking to know the truth of ourselves, okay? So this truth, okay? So this truth that we're seeking to know is the truth of ourselves, which is why it has to be comprehended from a philosophical or or in a metaphysical context, which leads to an awareness of natural law, not man's law. See, this leads you away from that. It leads you to wake up, you know, expand your awareness to become aware, consciously aware of natural law. So there are natural laws that explain the existence and operation of creation by the sheer fact that creation exists in the first place. So, you know, people want to ignore natural law, and it's like, well, you know, obviously nature exists, yo. Create, you know, in the first place, and there is a law. Okay, there is an intelligence, there is a pattern, there is a divine principle governing everything, governing natural law. So, so what we're dealing with here, Jupiter deals with your belief system, okay, and the need to seek the truth of oneself, to seek the soul structure, how the soul comes in to comprehend life, not how your ego personality wants to come in here and comprehend life, right? So, so what I'm saying then, if I simplify this now, bring it back, is that your belief system, Sagittarius, Jupiter, right? Natural law brings you into awareness of natural law, which is a very deep correlation of basically this is the correlation with the planetary archetype of Jupiter. This is what I'm trying to say to you, yeah. This is the nature of this energy, right? That's in your chart. Jupiter is to do with the belief system and structure of your soul. Yeah. So basically, you can say that Jupiter represents your soul's belief system. Okay. And Venus represents the inner relationship you're having with yourself. Right. So, what we've been going through for 13 years. Why do I say 13 years? Because back in 2006, Pluto, which is now in Capricorn, was going back and forth over that galactic center in Sagittarius. And if you can think back at your life in 2006, some big changes took place. I mean, I know this for myself, man. I ended a relationship that I was in for about 7, 8 years. And when I came out of that, I had a complete, total, basically, I end up letting go of a belief system that I had up to that point and expanded into um, a broader awareness of myself, because you know relationships are arenas that help you grow. You know, if you if you're looking at it from a soul perspective, if you get caught up in the ego clash, the personality complexes of one another, and then you're just getting caught up in, you know, your conditioning, and you're projecting your ego shit, and the other, and they're projecting their ego stuff on you, and you get caught up in, you know, egoic manipulation, and how, you know, trying to get the other one to meet your needs, and they're trying to get you to meet their needs, and yo, you know what I mean? This is what people call relationships, yeah. And really, what you're dealing with, you're playing out your egoic, emotional security needs, okay, which you believe is has to be met by somebody else outside of you. A lot of displaced emotions, okay, from childhood gets projected onto, you know, partners, okay, you call relationships. So these personality relationships, man, are just, it's all your programming and how you're trying to get another person to conform to your narrow, limited beliefs and conditioning. So Jupiter is about breaking you free. It represents the constant expansion in consciousness. That's hence why Jupiter is always about the big, you know, expansion. So Jupiter represents, so basically, wherever Jupiter is, it's the way your soul is going to find its philosophical, cosmological, or metaphysical way of interpreting life. Okay. So until one aligns with their soul, see, the soul's gonna, what you're using to create this relationship with yourself is all the erroneous beliefs you've had through your conditioning, and past life unconditioned conditioning, which can be, which one is continually repeating out if they don't become more conscious, okay, of who they are beyond the mind, the mental body, emotional body, and physical body. So what we have going on here is that when Venus, all right, let me back up a bit. What I'm saying here now is that Sagittarius energies that's coming in, what we're dealing with now with this Jupiter over the galactic center, because Jupiter is getting ready to move itself out of Sagittarius, and it's gonna start, and then Jupiter is gonna enter into Capricorn. Okay, in by the end of November, I think. So around that, sometime I don't remember the dates because I'm just feeling the energies, all right, and reading the frequencies in that way. But Sagittarius, okay, and Jupiter, we're dealing with energies, right? You know, you're dealing with learning, okay, growing, trusting, okay, expansion, justice, knowledge, belief systems. I've already said, philosophy, cosmic reality, okay, consciousness expansion, yeah, your own life's philosophy, yeah, how you interpret life, yeah, how you navigate yourself, yeah, how you navigate yourself based upon the beliefs you have about yourself. Yeah, okay. Now, what we got going on is the opportunity to realign with, all right, it also represents the belief in ourself. It represents the belief we are to have in ourself. And I told you that, well, Jupiter correlates with the psychological structure of the soul. So it's about your soul is yourself, not your mental, emotional, physical, creative tools and vehicles, but the soul. So the soul is the divine consciousness. The soul is the kingdom of heaven within inside of you. The soul is your heaven. Heaven represents the spiritual origin and source, and the nature of that spiritual origin and source is always depicted as celestial, heavenly. What's heavenly? Love, love, bliss, joy. The very frequency and the feeling of the light of awareness that you are is that love, is that joy, is that happiness. But when you've taken on erroneous beliefs, okay, these limiting beliefs, and not understanding how your beliefs that you hold in your mind, that you energize, activates emotions that correlate with that belief, and not realizing that the creative power and directive intelligence is within you, people believe that they don't see how they're creating their personal reality, okay? Or if you hang around people who are fearful, you end up becoming like that because that's the energy you're so associating yourself with. And as I said, energy exchange is taking place all the time when you're interacting with people, place, or things. Okay? Energy, interaction. The word inter, meaning in between, between. You know what I'm saying? Interrelationship, interplanetary. You're talking about that prefix inter means the relationship taking place between, the exchange taking place between two poles, one another, two people. You know what I'm saying? Or a group, okay? Exchanging within a group, between folks within a group. So based upon the quality of those energies is going to determine what you absorb, yeah? Okay? And you begin to resonate in that frequency. So if you want to be strong, you don't hang around with people. If you want to be courageous, you don't hang around people who are always talking about fearful things happening. Okay? You don't hang around people who you know, who you know, uh yeah, you don't hang around folk who basically are representing the opposite of the qualities you may want to uh enter into vibrational alignment with. Okay, you don't hang around or associate yourself with the frequencies you don't want to be in alignment with because they can come off on you, because we all influence one another, because we're really all interconnected, because all is energy, vibrations of consciousness. And I said last strong how all of creation, the whole of creation, is consciousness made visible. So with this energy, these cosmic energies coming through, these new light codes from the sun coming through, all these new energies, You're gonna, it's receiving. There's this opportunity where you're receiving a lot of downloads. Listen, man, it's like opening up to the love of your soul, yo. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a deeper love rising up here. But this love is not this emotional, attaching, egoic love. This is the very frequency of your very being. Yeah, emerging through. Okay, emerging through. Now I'm going to connect this all to the higher self because that's where I'm going to be going. Because why I say this now, your soul, your soul, your soul, your soul is the highest manifestation of spirit, which is the all originating creative power of life. Okay? The all originating creative spirit. Your soul is the highest manifestation of that. In fact, it was the first form in light that was emerged, that was drawn out of the source of all being. Okay? Your soul. So your soul is the higher or the highest manifestation of spirit. Whereas your ego, personality construct, the mind, mental body, emotional body, and physical body, this is the lower manifestation of spirit. So hence where you get this term, your higher and lower self. Now, your higher self is your soul. So the consciousness of your higher self now, your soul is universal. It's cosmic consciousness, okay? Whereas the consciousness of one's egoic personality is based upon earthly concepts, earthly beliefs, limited, contracted belief system based upon the identification with your mind, the ideas, right, the thoughts, the teachings, the indoctrinations that you've received from the outside, whether verbally or energetically. Because you don't always receive your indoctrination by somebody just standing in front of you, pointing a finger, telling you this, telling you that. You're picking stuff up through the energetic atmosphere that you dwell within, the mental atmosphere, the emotional atmosphere that your physical body is residing within, okay? Children are very impressionable. We all, our minds from 0 to 7, okay? Very impressionable, very psychic, okay, to the mental and emotional atmosphere of their environments, okay? So you can get subconsciously, unconsciously indoctrinated energetically, okay, with the programming and conditioning based upon your surroundings, okay? So your personality is programmed from the outside. When really your mind and emotional body and physical body should be directed from the inside, from you, okay? From the light of consciousness, pure awareness that you are. But instead, just like a programmer programs a computer, programmers outside, inserting a program inside the computer. And a computer would operate based upon the programs, okay? Now, what happens is that if you're already conscious of the programs, but you're not conscious of the programmer, then you mistake the programs as you. You mistake the programs as being the power, okay? Now, in this case, we're talking about your beliefs, okay? So Jupiter is really about, galactic center representing the galactic center of your being, is about you returning home, okay, after all of these, for 13 years. Why I say 13 years? 13 years. Because every 12 years is a Jupiter cycle, returns back to its home sign. And you have cycles, as I said, within cycles, okay? So you have a 12-year cycle of growth and development, okay? Where you are to expand in your consciousness, okay? And then when you've gone through that cycle, then you end up having a new cycle of another level to expand and grow into another level, to expand to another level, all right, in your consciousness. And as I said, that Jupiter represents your soul's psychological structure, not the ego personalities, okay? So Jupiter being going retrograde and all of that, and there's been revisions of beliefs. You got You see, people are defending and want to hold on to their limited beliefs, you see, where the soul wants to let go of those limited beliefs because the soul wants to return home to itself. Okay? It's all about you becoming soul realized. So what's been happening is that from 2006, when Pluto, which is the transmuting power of the soul, yeah, Pluto destroys, okay, that which no longer serves the soul's purpose, okay, what becomes entrapping, what becomes limiting, which impedes the soul's progress, the soul that all gets destroyed, okay, destroyed in order for something completely different to rise out of it, like a phoenix rising out of the ashes. Okay. So Pluto was going through in 2006. Pluto was transforming or bringing up and making you question your beliefs. So from 2006 to 2019, it's like we've gone through some serious, you know what I mean? If any of you can check out your, correlation with what happened 13 years ago for you, where you were. Some people are just coming into the country. Some people making new, yeah, left an old relationship or an old situation and found themselves stepping into a more expanded way of being, a more of an expanded way of perceiving themselves because they let go of a limited belief, yeah, a limited situation that they were drawing to themselves. And now it was now examining the beliefs and letting go, just burning out all these limited, non-true, yeah, beliefs that don't reflect your soul's nature. This is what was getting burned out, okay? So back them times, you could have end up moving from a place you were living 12 years ago into a new, more expanded place. You see what I mean? This is Jupiter and stuff because it's something that you've let go of as a limited belief, which enabled you to be able to receive something more. You see, what happens with us is that we believe there's only one way of doing something. Okay, we hold on to these limited ideas about ourselves, reality in the world, and you're getting pumped. You're getting pumped with all these indoctrinations that the world wants to tell you. But what's happening here now is definitely letting go of the old, letting go of these old ways of perceiving yourself. And as I said, Venus now is the way you're going to receive, how you draw things to you based upon the inner vibration you're creating within yourself, based upon the way you believe, what you believe about yourself, the way you evaluate, the way you're evaluating yourself, the way you're evaluating your self-worth. Say you don't deserve, you believe you don't deserve love. Well, you ain't gonna get it. It's not saying that it's not true, that it's true that you don't deserve love, but you believe it's true, so you don't deserve it. You see what I mean? I'm just being plain like that. So you'll attract people to you that won't love you. They won't treat you kindly. You see what I'm saying? Okay? Right? That's kind of like, a blatant explanation of what I mean about the relationship you have with yourself. Sets up your inner vibrations, becomes your magnetic energy that draws to you others, your external relationship. Now that's going to reflect your inner relationship you're having with yourself. And now Venus is conjuncting with Jupiter. It's saying time's up to change all of that. You got opportunity to open up into more expanded view of who you are. You have to look through these 13 years, and actually lovingly embrace your growth. Because from back to 2006 to now, you can really look and realize, man, you've really grown. The things you've had to endure, what you've gone through, I mean, good gosh, you've really had to get deep into, trusting yourself. Holy for trials, holy for testing, believing in yourself. You see? Belief. Yeah, Jupiter's Sagittarius, belief. Yeah. So Jupiter's belief, and Venus is the relationship you have with yourself. You see what I'm saying now? So when these planets conjunct, this energy is activated and say, listen, man, this, stepping into a new expanded um, beliefs you have about yourself, or the change in your psychology. You know what I'm saying? And what you want, the relationship you want to have, or the relationship you want to have with yourself, is really what is to be in alignment with the truth of your soul's nature. Jupiter. So this is why these energies are strong. Because if you was to look back at yourself 13 years ago, you may not say, you would know that, my gosh, the way, how you were then to how you are now, you have to commend yourself for the amount of growth. Okay, the growth and development. Yeah, the growth and development, how far you've come. Okay, you have to recognize how much you've grown and how much you have expanded. You have to this is about self-appreciation, where you lovingly look at yourself. You lovingly honor, right, your soul's journey across all lifetimes. You lovingly honor your soul's journey through all lifetimes, through all time dimensions of time, and through all timelines. Now, in reality, time don't exist, because who you is a timeless, eternal being. But when you're dealing within the realm of creation, the material realm of creation, you're dealing with time and space, and this is how we have our experiences. Yeah? So I'm going to go into this higher self now, because it's obviously, with these energies that's ramping up, is about us stepping into a higher. All right, let me put it this way. It's like, don't hold on to any limitations in the way you perceive what you're perceiving about yourself. Don't hold on to any limited beliefs. It's the time to it's to open up and expand yourself to the infinite possibilities. Okay, this is what Jupiter is also represent: the infinite possibilities. Okay, the infinite possibilities. Okay, that are existing and present now, and how we can experience ourselves in a brand new way, a new sense of ourself, the new sense of yourself, a new understanding, a new evaluation. And now you make a decree to the universe in alignment with this new, expanded version of you. You see? Now, I'm going to go into the highest self. As I said, that your soul is your highest self. It's the highest manifestation of spirit. Okay? But you hear all these flipping talks from a religious perspective. And if you're approaching spirituality with a religious mindset, a lot of this stuff is going to be very, you're going to have cognitive dissonance. You're going to be, people, yeah, wow. You're going to be, you're going to be in a place where these limited beliefs are going to just keep you into some contraction, because you see, it's now you have a new evaluation of yourself, and now you're decreeing to the universe what you now know that you're worthy of, what you are deserving of receiving. Whereas before, you may not have felt that you was deserving of receiving anything better than what you believed about yourself back then. You see what I'm saying? Or the beliefs you had about, yourself and life. Because what you believe about yourself and what you believe about the world is what you draw to you. A lot of us, this law of attraction, the law of attraction is really, you have to understand the law of vibration, because law of attraction is basically is just the magnetic part, that's drawing to you, the reflection of your inner vibration, because the inner vibration is a magnetic. The external sending out of energy is electrical. You see what I mean? So magnetic energy, which is the feelings, which is different to emotions. Emotions is represented by the moon. That's your ego. Emotions is reactive. Okay, you're reacting from your emotional. You're reacting from this egoic sense of identity, where your emotional security and need to feel safe and protected is coming from this is coming from the belief system you've adopted. Okay, about yourself, the way you feel about yourself. This is what the moon represents: your personal self-image, the what is being, developed through what's being developed through um, your conditioning, yeah. And all of that stuff now becomes the role you're playing, and you forgot who you really are behind the flipping, you know, the role you're playing. Yeah. So the ego is more reactive. It's external. These emotions are more of the energy we emit from, your reacting and sending out there. Okay, through reaction, right? Every action has a equal reaction. Okay, action and reaction. So action, proaction, that's the sun. Yeah, represents your vitality, represents you, your soul. Okay, it represents the yourself, your creative self actualization. How you come in here to creatively self-actualize your soul's incarnation intent. That's what the sun represents in your chart. Okay, the moon represents your ego, the egoic construct of your personality that was formulated from 0 to 7 through the things you've taken in, consciously, unconsciously absorbed as your belief system. Okay, about you. All right. Um, you might have derived it from your family, your parents, your mother, your father, or what I mean. But these belief systems, which do not reflect the true nature of your soul, this is what the moon represents. So emotions is the emitting of emotions, energy in motion. That's the moon. But when we're talking about Venus, we're talking about the inner feelings, which is this stuff you don't even talk. You know what I mean? It's the energy that's emitting from you, right? Not through reaction, emotional reaction, but through the inner magnetic vibration you're putting out based upon the way you feel about yourself, reflecting the way what you believe. Because what you believe in your mind sets up an emotional energy matching that belief. You see? Because of thoughts of vibration. Your emotions and then feels the vibration. You know what I mean? So Venus is more about the inner feeling. You can walk around with a feeling in yourself that only you know, nobody else could ever fathom. And based upon this feeling you have in yourself is why your life will reflect certain things happening for you differently to somebody else, because they're in a vibration and what they're magnetizing to themselves is not reflective of the way, the more higher way you may feel and think about yourself. You see what I'm saying? So Venus is your inner feeling, and Jupiter is the soul's beliefs, if we want to put it that way, the soul's psychological structure. Okay, so the higher self is your soul, is the higher consciousness, which is your universal consciousness of your soul, different to earthly consciousness, the limited, contracted um, uh, beliefs of being some earthly human. Okay, and what the outer world wants to tell you to believe, and what you also may have, you know, you've inherited certain beliefs through, again, family. All right, yeah, you can inherit belief systems, man, you're born into, but you as the soul now coming here to transcend all of that limitation. Okay, but it depends how soon or how long it takes you to waken up to, to wake up to be receptive of the inner light and respond, answer the call. Yeah, responsibility, able to respond and answer the call of your inner light. Yeah, the inner eye calls the me to itself. All right, so the inner calling, you see, so it's the inner call. All right, not the outer calling. All right. So, so the higher self with us, the soul, each and every one of us, okay, is a part of a greater state of consciousness. We are part of a greater state of consciousness, awareness, intelligence. Okay. I'm trying to making sure you look. Awareness is more than just how some people just kind of drop it like, oh yeah, consciousness is only awareness. Like, yeah, I'm aware that I got these kind of new shoes on my feet. It's listen, man, your awareness basically is way bigger than the forms we're identifying with. When you as awareness become aware of awareness, that you are awareness, then you begin to take on a complete different view of who you is and what you is, and then you realize you're free. Yeah. Because you're not basing freedom based upon these earthly concepts you got. You know what I mean? You realize that you're not trapped and limited to these mm, impermanent states, call your mind and emotional body and physical body. Why I say impermanent is because your mind changes, man. People say, oh, I'm changing. Well, I'll change my mind. Your thoughts come in and out, come and go, Emotions change. Your emotions, how you feel about this today, you may not be the way you're going to feel about it next year. You know, your emotion changes, your body changes, man. So all of that is impermanent, man. So while these things are changing, your mind and your emotions, your energy, your physical body, there is that which observes all those changes and doesn't change. There's that which comes and goes, which exists in time and space. And there is that which observes what comes and goes within time and space. So you are to get to know that which doesn't come and go, that which observes the coming and going. See what I mean? That is where you need to be going towards to reawaken to who you truly are, beyond the limitations of your mind, beyond the limitations of your emotions, beyond the limitations of the physical form. This is the truth. It doesn't mean that you neglect your mind and you neglect your emotional body and your physical form. What it means is that when you stop identifying with the structure and identify with the 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 constructor of the structure, now you end up having power over the construction. All right, another way of putting it: when you come to a come to the awareness of yourself as being the builder of the house, okay, then you now are the one who directs what takes place in that house. When you realize that you are that consciousness intelligence which directs the mind, which is the perfect substance which came out from consciousness intelligence, and which becomes the tool, the mind, the mind substance becomes the tool that now creates and structures the body. So then you end up realizing that you are that which directs your mind. Therefore, you are the one who is in control. You're the power behind your mind. You end up realizing that you're not the emotionals and the emotional body and getting stuck within reruns of some show you're playing out, some, life, some experience you're playing out. You realize that you are the power behind your emotions and therefore can direct your emotions. And you realize that you're the vitality, you're the power and the source of the vitality, the life force. I'm not talking about just eating food, physical food. Yeah, talk about the very life force that your body needs, that energy that everything runs off of. When you realize that you're the life force that gives the power, gives the strength, gives the movement and life, energy into the body, you realize then now that you can directly influence the energies moving through your body. You can directly influence what emotion you want to line up with to what vibration you now set yourself up to be on. Yeah? You realize you're not your mind, you're the director of your mind. So now you realize how you direct your thoughts. Okay. Rather than being directed by your mind and controlled by your emotions and limited by your physical form, and then now being a prison warden for the prison that you created for yourself, or others who want to be a prison warden for you because they don't want you to expand beyond the limited beliefs that they're holding on to. You see what I mean? And you just have to ask yourself, okay, what are these beliefs doing for me? The beliefs you're holding on to and fighting over and stuff, how is it serving you? That's how you can check the quality of your beliefs. So we're in an expansive moment where you can, these 13 years, man, you just got to relook. You got to look at yourself. You got to realize that when you're observing and realize you're not your mind, you can begin to learn so much more about how your mind is, the thinking, when you're talking, you realize the things you usually say, that come out your mouth more, that's reflecting the way you think. And this is the inner conversation you're having with yourself at a deeper level, So it's about self-mastery, all of this is about, So let me go back to my notes here. So each and every one of us is a part of a greater state of consciousness awareness, okay, and energy, okay, which is intelligence. So this is universal consciousness intelligence. Now, this state can be called your higher self, okay? This state could be called super consciousness. Super meaning above, consciousness meaning the knowing, the consciousness awareness above the physical plane and the beings that reside on it. So your super consciousness represents a consciousness that is above, higher in vibrational frequency than your earthly consciousness. So, these words, super consciousness, So that's what it is. So it's like your higher self, because your soul is vibrating at a higher rate of frequency than your physical body and mind and emotions. Okay? So your higher self is your soul, okay? The higher vibratory self, your higher vibratory self, which consciousness is universal. So that state of consciousness of yourself is universal in its awareness. So we are all, every one of us, all right? Yeah, I'll just say that because I was thinking about clones the other day and shit, and you know what I'm saying? They don't have connection. Anyway, this is when you tamper, okay? When you're tampering with things and stepping out of the natural order, then these things become defected, okay? Defected, just like breeding dogs. You got a pedigree. And the original dog is a wolf, right? But when you start crossbreeding species with one another, what happens is you notice that it gets weaker. That what you're crossbreeding, you're cloning things, right? So you're taking it away from the original and expect the copy to be just like the original. When if that's not happening through natural order, then when you're manipulating stuff in the laboratory, you're now making dogs, customized dogs for design. You're creating flipping things that, you'll never see that in nature. You see what I'm saying? But then you got these sausage dogs and these dogs with whole heap of fold and loose skin. They can barely breathe. You know what I'm saying? You got these dogs they're breeding, which just these small little dogs that just chew up every shit and always freaking trying to pick some trouble with something bigger than itself. And you get these type of things that people, it's like they're manufacturing these pets, all right, to suit someone's lifestyle. So you can carry a dog in your purse. You know what I'm saying? You can dress it up and put a tutu skirt in it and all that type of stuff. And the thing is, what I'm basically saying is that the examples of these type of creatures that are being created, they end up having defect problems. You know what I mean? The further and further away it's moving from its original source, you find you cannot trust the temperament of some of these ass dogs. You know what I mean? Because there's something effed up in the genes. All right? Because it's cloned. Okay? It's homogenized. You see? So it doesn't have the natural hookup, right, to source energy. So I'm giving an example of what I mean? So the thing is now, let me just get into this thing because time is moving on, even though it's an illusion. So each and every one of us is part of this greatest state of consciousness and awareness and energy, right? And we come to remember how to directly experience ourselves as this great, greater being that we are. Yet we can remember or learn how to live this way, yeah, in our lives by living in the higher self state, or living in alignment with your soul, okay? Your soul state, your soul, the true nature of your soul. So 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 let me just round this up here. Um so we can live in this higher state, right? Or so much of our personal reality changes, you know, we realize, you see, when our personal reality changes, we realize how free we are, all right? Okay? To create the lives that we want. When you realize you are one with this, with absolute consciousness, okay? And you have the same creative powers that the source of your consciousness has, okay? Because you are an expression, a unique, individualized expression of that eternal source, you see? And you're one with, it's like the relationship between the individual and the universal. You have a twofold relation, aspect of yourself. You got your individual self, which is which has a universal, okay, relationship, okay, with all that is. So the individual is, and I said a long time before that the word individual is a composite of two words: indivisible, which means inseparable, and dual, as in duality. Two. So you're an inseparable duality. Another way of saying you're a whole being as an individual unit. All right, complete within and whole within oneself. But instead, the world wants to teach you that you're separate from the source of all existence. So now you're floating around, you know what I mean, like some fragment, you know what I mean, not connected to anything else, and oh my gosh, searching for security outside of yourself. You see what I mean? When you are connected to a greater consciousness, energy, and intelligence, okay, which is known as universal consciousness, intelligence, okay. But often, as so-called, we as so-called human beings, right? We have mm, we behave in ways, we believe that there's only one way to do things, that there's a right and a wrong way, and if you follow this right way, then everything will work. You know what I'm saying? And we built these cans and cannots, yeah, in our mind because of our conditioning. Now, these now set up these limitations that's placed upon us, right? Or we placed it now upon ourselves. If you hold on to these limited limitations, so these limitations that is placed upon us, and we believe that if we find the right path to follow, you know, then we're gonna find our happiness, or happiness is guaranteed. Now the thing is, happiness doesn't come from being a slave to your conditioning. Happiness does not come from you being a slave to your conditioning. Happiness doesn't come from trying to find the right answer. You think, oh, I got the right answer. Now all of a sudden you're going to be happy for the rest of your life. I got the right answer to what? Right answer. Right answer. Yeah. And this is how the conditioning makes people believe that that's how they're going to receive, they have to, that's how they're going to attain happiness. If I work out what's the right thing to do, I'm going to be okay. If I get the right answer, I'm going to be okay. Someone could know the right answer on a multiple choice, questionnaire thing. Doesn't mean they know how to do whatever it is they got the right answer to. You can memorize the correct answer. Doesn't mean that you know. It doesn't mean that you know what to do. You see? So so this is how, we believe that following our conditioning, holding on to our conditioning, that's where we're going to find a happiness. It ain't going to happen. Because you just have to see that what your condition is creating is what it's creating. So if you want to create something different, you got to change the mindset. You see? So the whole thing you can check already with your experience, with the amount of stress, you've had because of, trying to find the right answer, or holding on to your conditioning, just basically you're already experiencing what those conditionings are doing for you or not doing for you, based upon the amount of stress and turbulence and shit going on. So, so the thing is, as that should clearly show that that stuff ain't working. So, so it should, so the path you've been taking ain't basically effective in the present moment. So basically, this is what's creating the suffering, okay, in our present moment, because the ideas that people are holding on to from their conditioned mentality is based on ignorance, okay? Now, there are laws that shape this physical reality, our emotional reality, and our mental reality. Because you see, these laws is what gives the universe a shape, okay, a form for us to express ourselves within. Yeah. Now, these laws are not what's limiting us. They are simply the container in which we all work with to create a shared experience together within. We're all within this universe, and we're all on this planet, and we're creating a shared experience, okay, based upon the physical, emotional, and mental, right, reality that consciousness intelligence uses to give the universe shape and form. And through shape and form is how we um, how we express, all right, the true nature of ourselves through these forms, okay, mental, emotional, and physical. So your higher self is your soul, and there's a way of connecting to this. And I think I'll leave this for the next strong, because I'm going to talk about a spiritual heart. And when I talk about a spiritual heart, spiritual is indicating non-physical. Heart is representing the center or source of anything. So when I say the spiritual heart, I'm not talking about a physical location. I'm not talking about your heart chakra. I'm talking about the non-physical center of you, which is the non-physical awareness. Yeah, your non-physical being. Okay. Where your physical being is an extension of that non-physical. Okay. But your non-physical is huge. Your non-physical is everywhere, because you're dealing with, you are the pure space of consciousness awareness. But you see, this is why there are methods to go within and directly experience this, to experience this state as you, because you can talk it, and certain information is good to receive the mental, because certain information is good, right? So there's a certain level of you experiencing or having certain information given to you where your mind is being receptive now to stuff you've never heard before or you've been limited to. This opens up your mind when you can mentally accept these concepts. But you got to go beyond your mind, because you're more than a concept. You see, you're the direct, you are it. You know what I mean? But you have to experience to know yourself as it. You know what I mean? The infinite truth, it, the inner truth, it. Yeah, that's what it is to me. IT. Okay, not information technology, which you can say, but I'm talking about the infinite truth or the inner truth. You realize you're it. Then that's through direct experience. Then it changes your whole perception of yourself. It changes your personal reality. Of course, it's going to change, man, because you're changing the direction of your creative energy, where it flows. Okay, you're directing it more within you. You're not pouring out your energy into the illusion and giving energy to that anymore. You're turning inward towards the source of your mind, the origin of your energy, body, and emotions, the source of your physical form, creative vehicle. You're bringing it all back to the light of consciousness, where all your mind, emotional body, physical body is contained within your consciousness. Just like you can look around you and see all the forms around you is contained and embraced within the space that surrounds it and moves through it. You see? So yes. So the spiritual heart now. A lot of us have our awareness in our heads. So we identify with our minds and our thoughts and the ideas what we think ourselves to be. But I've said many times that the idea of spirituality many people are dealing with nowadays is like heart bypass spirituality. Everybody wants to get to the third eye. Everybody wants, oh yeah, dealing with their head. Get my crown, get my third eye, open up my third eye. And it's like, what about the heart, dude? Because your heart, the heart center of you, the chakra is a gateway for the radiating light of your spiritual heart to radiate through. It's the first point of your spirit expressing itself through matter. It came through the heart. All right? So this focusing your awareness in the middle of your chest rather than in your head and in your face, which keeps you identifying with your mind and the contents of these erroneous ideas or limited beliefs. Yeah? Instead of keeping your awareness up there, which the majority of people do, bring your awareness down to the center of your chest. Now, I grew up with all this energy in my chest. I thought everybody had that experience. I thought everybody felt this energy in their chest until I realized that wasn't so. And if I ask people, do you feel this energy, this sensation in your chest? You can see them thinking about it. And if you need to think about it, then you don't have it. You're not. When I say you don't have it, you're not. You haven't generated. You haven't placed enough awareness to the heart of you, the center of you, to activate that energy, because this society conditions you to be in your head. Okay, so you're caught up by thinking your way through life. Thinking, gotta think myself through the problem. Gotta think. You know what I mean? And then you get people just like, my gosh, man, you know what I mean? They can't stop their thinking mind. You know what I mean? Their thinking mind is just they can't stop it because they're so identified with their mind, when your mind is actually a creative tool for you to be directing and selecting what thoughts you choose to energize, rather than having the outside tell you what to think, what to believe, what to feel. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't take you to yourself, it takes you away from yourself. And then you're focusing your creative energy, which you're unconscious of, if you believe that the creator is outside of you and separate. So therefore, now you're sending your creative energy, directing your attention to where your energy is flowing now, towards ideas, to now giving life to creations that didn't originate within you, within your own thoughts, within your own being. You're picking up stuff from the music, which is always chatting some crap, you know what I'm saying? And you're repeating that. You're watching crap on the TV, emotionally reacting to it because the ego, personality, you're identifying with all of that, and you're giving energy to that. Yeah? And then you blame the world for reflecting back to you the shit that it's reflecting, when it's only reflecting back the inner creation. See? So, yeah. So without realizing this is what makes people operate from their ego while they think they're dealing with spirituality, spiritual consciousness, soul consciousness. Because, you're going to call yourself a god and a goddess or a king and queen, but you can't even rule over your mind and your emotions. What ruler is that? You know what I'm saying? You're a king and a queen, and you can't govern your own mind. I can't govern the way I feel. I can't help it. You're still on that. So what are you a ruler of? If you're going to be a ruler, if you're in the kingdom, then everyone's got a right to be a king or emperor, ruler, in their own selves, where they're dealing with stepping into the self-mastery, okay? Realizing their godhood, yeah? But then again, if you're going to say you're a god, then you're still going to complain about the victimization of what the fuck has happened. Do you see the contradiction? You see what I mean? A god will not be a victim, yeah? If you understand what we mean by God, rather than something separate to you that you're worshiping up in the sky with a picture on the wall, believing that's not God. You see what I'm saying? You can say God is anything that is in control, okay? So you got people playing God, you know what I mean, over your life. But the point I'm saying is that if you're going to be taking on titles, but you're still going to be chatting about being a victim of other people's shit and not looking at what we've contributed to making it step into those levels too, yeah, for those experiences to happen, and what you're talking about, you know what I'm saying? Because God has power, dude, and a goddess. But you cannot see. This is why I'm saying you can't step into spiritual teachings and knowledge and wisdom of self carrying the same old religious mindset. It ain't gonna work. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. So this Jupiter conjuncting the galactic center and Venus coming up to approach to conjunct it on Saturday is showing you the new energies coming in, because it's a new 12-year cycle of growth and development, of expansion of your consciousness. Now that you've shedded away all these limited beliefs and now stepping into a new sense of self and evaluation and understanding of who you are, and now you are ready to receive, okay, all of the abundance and the more expansion in the possibilities of how things could turn out, because you're not limiting things to say things should only happen this way or that way. No, you're open to the infinite possibilities. It's about opening up your heart to yourself and returning to that unconditional love of your being, that when you're feeling, see, when you connect to your chest and you start doing this meditation, which I'll talk about another time, what you feeling is not, oh, my heart chakra. No, what you're feeling is the light of your own being, how it feels, the love and the ecstasy. You see, the closest energy to what you can experience, the feeling of that oneness, the way your soul feels, is why they say sex is the quickest way to enlightenment. Okay? And with big, mature people, so-called mature people, you can't even talk about sex on the spiritual, metaphysical level, in order to, understand how it equates with spirituality. All right? The way the sexual energy, where you feel when you're aroused, that's the way your soul feels. That's the way life feels. It's life force within you. You know what I'm saying? That is rising, arising. Okay? And it's how you direct this life force energy and your approach and your beliefs around this, because it's the belief you have about yourself. And if they are self-rejecting, then your life force energy, you're not realizing, my gosh, how close you are to directly knowing God inside of yourself. So sexual knowing God, enlightenment through sex, is an ancient thing. But you're living in a society which is just, a society that has just, degraded the whole idea of, the whole science behind sex, sexual energy, sexuality. You got man sexuality, female sensuality. You know what I'm saying? When you're dealing with feelings, you deal with the feeling of the way life feels itself. The life force in you is love, bliss, ecstasy, and the soul is seeking happiness. So really, you're seeking yourself, because your soul is the source of this happiness. But when you're caught up in this illusion and false identification, you're running, chasing after what your mind's looking for happiness, what your emotions looking for more of that, and what your physical body's looking for outside of yourself. So then we end up trying to pursue an idea of happiness within the realm of impermanency and set yourself up for disappointment. You know what I'm saying? So this is these are the big switches and the changes going on now, y'all. And therefore the opportunity to expand beyond our preconceived and past limitations, which the last 13 years of what we was going through was to bring you out of that, a lot of healing, a lot of tearing away from old, worn out, ideas and beliefs about ourselves, and the narratives you still hear pumped in your head, with the way, some of these organizations I told you already, step away from it if you want to find your divinity, caught up in all of these limited, oh, Lord of mercy. Some people haven't had a new thought in 30 years. Just living off of dead people's thinking, and not tapping into themselves to find the truth afresh all the time within them. So, yes, so this galactic center, Jupiter in Sagittarius at 26 degrees, where Venus The way you feel about yourself sets up the inner vibration. As I said to you, all right, that's going to conjunct with Jupiter. Jupiter's about justice. Jupiter's about truth. Jupiter's about the soul's psychological structure, which aligns with the laws of nature or natural law, which is what your soul uses to interpret truth. Okay? Because your soul is consciously experiencing itself through this incarnation. And the soul has a way of integrating all that knowledge while it's consciously experiencing, living the experience, you see. So your soul's nature is what your feelings that you want to now be, how the way you want to be relating to yourself with now, that's what you want to align with. You want to align with your soul's nature, the emerging of this light within you that is being felt through your chest. You have to acknowledge and realize it's you. Yeah. This is beyond your mind and your thinking mind. This is beyond your emotions and the ups and the downs, and beyond your physical limitations of your physical form and this barriers. Yeah. That gives you the idea that you're separate from the infinite space that surrounds you and is also within you. Because you are actually formless awareness. And that will freak the ego out, you see. Because everybody wants to be somebody. Everybody wants to be something. Nobody wants to be nothing. Because it sounds so derogatory. What do you mean I'm nothing? Trying to hold on to form and desperately, identifying with some structure. When you are formless awareness, that makes you infinite. You can become everything and anything. Anything and everything. You see? Because no thing is not limited to being something. You see what I mean? Something now is a condition. Yeah? Something summed up to a thing, a form. Yeah? It's now got limits and parameters around it. But when you're no thing, you're everything. You see what I'm saying? There is there's an inner wisdom that says that wisdom is to know that you're nothing, and love is to know that you are everything. So on that note, I'm going to say good shout out to y'all. And I'll be back next Tuesday and so forth, and play, no intro this time, but no problem, and no outro, but it is what it is. So this was about the higher self, and dealing with the Venus conjuncting Jupiter on the 23rd September, and basically what these inner energies are activating, and what these energies are going to be unfolding in the next coming weeks, the next coming strongs. In the next and throughout the months to come. Okay, so give yourself a round of applause, and you've grown. You've give thanks, and you realize that, my gosh, even though the experiences you've gone through might have been so painful, so so this, so disturbing and so forth, but you've got through all of that, and through it you have grown so much. You've expanded in your consciousness so much, and you need to embrace and love yourself for that. So you now can send out that decree as a feeling frequency to the universal intelligence of your source. Say, yo, I am ready to receive all the goodness and the growth and the best, all that abundance, I am worthy. I am worthy, of the greater good. Because if you don't feel you're worthy, then you're not going to be. You see what I mean? And the universe will say, okay, you don't feel you're worthy, so I don't see you worthy. Because I can only support what you give out to me, yeah? You know what I mean? Vibrationally. So that's how it is. So, embrace and love your soul's journey throughout all the timelines, all the lives, all the dimensions, and realize you're having an instantaneous, simultaneous healing throughout all these timelines. Because no time really exists. Everything is now. But, as your soul, as you incarnate through these different, personality and play out these different roles, you got all of that going on simultaneously, and now you're healing all of it. Okay? To return back home to the unconditional loving nature of yourself. So that's that. So y'all, I bid you all a good shadow hour, and I'll be with you again next Tuesday on the Cosmic Roots Show, Reality of One's True Self. And yes, you can tap into, check out the website, Bless Radio, www.blessradio.co.uk. Check out the website there. And this show's being recorded so I can send this on to all those who may not have had a chance to listen and tune into it this evening. So yeah, I wish all my brothers, my soul brothers and sisters, yeah, soul brothers and sisters, um, restful, great, rejuvenating shadow hours, and catch you on the flip side. Yeah.
No more living in this disagreeable way. No. So I guess I'll have to say to you, we're on our way. He who knows is he who feels. Striking to break free from illusions to us real. Trying to realize true image of yourself. You gotta know your true worth and your worth. Rise up and be strong. Lead on and on. The infinite mind is in all things. Deep within your deeper self where everything begins. A calling. From the, yeah, yeah. From the, reality of our true selves. There can't be no other savior than yourself. Yeah, yeah. Such deep love for yourself. Oh, rise up and free your mind, yeah, yeah. Roots hang from deep within. Who will be, yeah. Reality of our true